Hello, how are you? I'm all right. At this point, I don't even know. This is like the fourth take of the video, and I'll tell you why. In the first take, I completely diverted from the point. In the second take, there was a technical problem. And in the third take, I just zoned out. So here we are. Maybe it's because I'm just tired and um, confused about how to take rest, so I'm making this video. Who knows? Anyways, so do you notice the change of scenery? It's because my tripod is back and I'm using my tripod to film this. I'm so happy. I can move the phone around whenever I want and wherever I like. It's so liberating. Finally, I don't have to keep the phone at a particular place on a stack of books to film. It's nice, truly. Hmm. Anyways, so the point of the video is it's really just a podcast about random things that I just want to talk about. And I don't want to talk about my worries or my internal conflicts, really. I mean, I don't want to talk about my concerns. I just want to talk about my perspective and my opinion. I'm not sure if anyone will understand the distinction, but hopefully, after I talk about whatever I'm going to talk about, it will be clear. And well, really, I'm just doing a random discussion. So, yeah. Basically, I want to talk about the reason why I'm doing this. And I know I have discussed the reason a lot of times, but it's nice to spell it out once more and consolidate that train of thought that this is what we are doing. And it's honestly really nice to remember because it keeps me grounded. And I think I have stated this indirectly a lot of times, but never really addressed it directly. So here we are. Basically, why I make these videos and just why. I don't edit out a lot. In fact, I don't think I even edit a little bit of my videos. Really need to put this out there. That's why I'm talking. It's been a long time since I've been surfing the internet, and I've noticed that my attention span has gotten really bad. Actually, right now, I'm on a digital detox kind of space where I'm still improving my state of attention. But even a few weeks or few months ago, it was terrible. And I was just scrolling, doom scrolling, and doom scrolling. And that made me feel terrible about myself. So I tried to find some solutions to the problem. So one of them was just watching longer videos and podcast formats, documentary formats, and all that without skipping or um, going to another video and like sit through the whole thing and watch the whole thing, to increase your attention span. It was something like that. And I realized when I watched a lot of podcasts and long format videos, they are also not really long format videos. They are a lot of shorts smooshed in together. And I'm not talking about all of them, but most of them are like that. And I understand. I'm not criticizing the formats because that also takes a lot of hard work. I'm just saying that that format is not really ideal for someone who is looking to increase their attention span. Even podcasts have cuts and everything. I get it. You want to, the purpose of your video is entertainment, and I get it. If you are not constantly giving material to your viewer, then, did I just say then? Then they continuously um, zone out and don't know what they're watching, because our condition has become like this. We continuously need stimulations, which is why I saw that the videos had numerous cuts and there are no spaces for silence or thinking. There are only ads which account for a pause in the video. Otherwise, there are technically no pauses in the video. If you want to pause, you have to click the pause button. The video is just one continuous format, and that is actually really concerning. And I'll tell you why. This is not based on any scientific research studies or evidence based article. I want to warn you that it is just my observation, but I felt like nowadays there is very little room for silence. There's very little time given for thinking. The world has become so fast paced that we are, I don't know, basically flying at a dangerous rate. And when we crash, it's a it's a huge, huge injury. It's like everything breaks and shatters. And social media is designed to keep you engaged because your time is their money, your attention is their currency, and they are trying to get as much profit as they can by keeping you engaged. So it, there was an interruption. So there will be a cut in my video. This is what happens when you try to do something. The first thing that becomes your obstacle is a contradiction of the very thing that you're saying. Well, so as I was saying, we don't have room for silences, we don't have room for pauses. And it's just everything has become so fast that your brain doesn't have the time to think. It just has to do whatever it has to do, and you realize that that is exactly what a machine does. A machine cannot think for itself, it just does what it was programmed to do. And this is dangerous on so many levels because we as human beings are not machines. We are human beings at the end of the day. So, the main thing is our emotions need space. If we are constantly giving ourselves material and content to look at, to just keep ourselves entertained, and that material does not have room for all the emotions that we feel, and all the stress that we have felt, and all the processing, information processing that we need to do to keep our brain healthy. Then, after a point of time, you are bound to become less productive, less efficient, and you're bound to feel emotionless. Because, see, the world is right now at that state where everyone consumes content, and the content is not exactly designed for your emotions. It's designed to hold space for, excuse me, it's not even designed to hold space for your emotions. It's designed to quickly entertain you in some format. And the problem is not entertainment, it never was. The problem is the speed. It is so quick that it does not give you the time to process. Well, now, as I already said, that these are just my observations, it has no science back to it. I've forgotten all the prepositions. So it's not science backed, okay? It has no evidence as of my knowledge. Now, I don't know if some research has been done. Maybe I need to Google that, but I'm just talking about my observations. And these observations are very true in my personal life. And I've noticed that the more I doom scrolled, the more my attention span decreased. Then my memory also faltered, and I was just less interested in, you know, doing creative things. And I was not able to connect to myself. I was less in touch with my emotions. So I decided that I will engage less with fast paced media. And suddenly I realized that the 24 hours in the day are actually, I mean, they seemed longer than they previously did. When you're continuously scrolling through your phone, time passes by so quickly. But when you actually let your mind sit in the silence, you realize that you actually have the time to do all the things that you want to do. And you actually have the ability to hold space for all your thoughts and worries and all the information that was presented to you. And you actually have the time to think about what you need to think and let your brain just live an ordinary life, a normal, healthy life. But with fast paced media that has become so far stretched, it's actually mind boggling that I, who is so much aware of her own self, let the media distract me from my own thoughts. And then I decided that I will also post content. This right now that I'm doing is content, but I will not edit it. I will not edit the silence. I will not edit the parts where I fumble or where I'm thinking and I'm saying, oh, because when did this become abnormal? When did thinking become abnormal? I think we need to normalize thinking using our own minds. You know, there's a popular belief among some psychology students that, and it's really some because they are just my friends, okay? It's again not science backed. That when when you see something or hear something, when you learn something, the first reaction that you have is not your original reaction. It's actually a conditioned reaction. Let's talk about conditioning a little bit, otherwise, this will be so out of context and ununderstandable. I don't know if that's a word, but I hope that my point here is understood. Let's talk about conditioning. So, there was a psychologist, Ivan Pavlov, and he was really, really cruel in his experimentation. Okay, we are not to glorify him in any way, but his experiments had results which were really eye opening. And the experiment that he did was there was this dog, and he brought food to the dog. And every time he gave, actually, I don't really know if he himself gave the food, but okay, let's frame it like this: the dog was given his meals, and every time he was given food, um, a bell would be rung. Okay, so basically, he was presented the sight of the food, and the bell would be rung. And in another condition, before presenting the food, the bell would be rung. And in another condition, after presenting the food, the bell would be rung. Pavlov noticed that after doing this for a couple of times, um, the dog started drooling without even being presented the food, just at the sound of the bell. And then he realized, and then we had the theory of classical conditioning, which states that it is possible to associate two completely independent stimuli and have a reaction, which is actually in psychological language called to elicit a response. I am a little worried right now because if my viewers haven't studied psychology, I wonder how much of this they will understand. But maybe I can use some objects to show you. Imagine that this is uh, this is a rock and this is a glue. So you throw a rock and someone gets hurt. So you show them this rock and they're scared. But every time you show them this rock, you also show them the glue. Okay. So over time, what happens is, without even showing the rock, just showing the glue makes them fear you, fear the sight of the glue alone, even though the glue had nothing to do with hurting them. That is conditioning. You just associate completely different, independent things because they were presented together, and you elicit the same response for both of them because of the conditioning. So, that is a thing. It's popularly believed by me and my friends, okay? But this is a very, very carefully observed thing, so that's why I'm saying it. But I'm also putting out the disclaimer that this is not science fact. And yeah, that the first thing that comes to your mind when you see something or hear something or learn something, it's conditioned. Most probably conditioned by the society, by your parents or your surroundings or something that you saw on the internet and you were influenced. For example, if you had grown up knowing that a particular fruit, say for example banana, is bad for health, then whenever you see a banana, your first thought would be, I have to stay away from this. Because you had just grown up with people who believed that, and it could be not necessarily true, but you don't know that. Your first thought would be that. On the surface, it would be because you were surrounded by people with that thought and you never questioned it and you were influenced. So, on top of your surface, that would be the thought. And I know this is a very factually incorrect example, but this is the best way to present conditioning because conditioning is like that. It is illogical, actually. The consequence of conditioning is very illogical because we don't question what is happening. We just accept it because we think, oh, our mind is thinking this, but you have to dig deeper. So that is what I was saying, that when and how it is connected to what I was saying earlier, I'll say that now. It is that when we consume a lot of media, our mind is getting continuously influenced, because your algorithm, I mean, the algorithm in your feed will show you exactly what you like to see. Because the thing that you like to see, you will watch it more, and you will engage more with the app. And that is what the app wants because your time is their money. So, uh, it shows you exactly what you like to see and you get more and more influenced by it because maybe your perspective on that matter was not that extreme, but then it shows you something that influences you to believe in a more extreme version of your previous thought, and in this way you get more and more and more influenced. It's how it happens. And then, when in real life you see something happen, the first thought that you get is just how you were influenced by that type of content in media. And you think that you are thinking the right thing, but the first thing that your mind thinks is almost always a conditioned response. It's when you start to question yourself and you start to look at the pros and cons. I mean, you start to really um, logically dissect, and not only logically, emotionally dissect your opinion and your reaction. That's when you realize that whether the reaction is actually the reaction of your body in a healthy state of mind, or is it just a conditioned response that your body is eliciting out of habit, out of influence, or out of fear, or some kind of emotion that is actually really a reaction and not an action. I'll tell you why this is again important, because one might question what is wrong with, you know, reacting in a particular way to something when your reaction might be right. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? We are allowed to react however we want, but at least we should be aware of how we are reacting. We should be mindful about what we are doing. You can do whatever you want. We actually, believe it or not, but a lot of people do what they want. And you can do what you want even after thinking about it a little bit. Thinking about something and processing it and questioning it does not constrain it to the limit of your mind. You can still do it. Because the problem with not thinking about what you're doing is you could be doing a lot of harmful things and not be aware of it. Trust me, this happens a lot more than we expect. A lot of people don't think about what they're doing. They just do it because that's the first thing that came to their mind and they just did it mindlessly. And they are not even bad people. They are just not putting that much thought into it because they don't have the awareness. And that causes a lot of harm. And yes, of course, there are people who actually think what they're doing and then still do something harmful. But we can't do anything about that. I mean, we can, but not in the context of what I am talking about. But imagine that you are going to do something harmful to someone else, but then you thought about what you're doing, and then you did it in a better way. This is better, isn't it? So that's why it's important to hold space for silence, which is why I make videos where I don't edit out anything, because there is silence in my videos where I get the chance to think. You get the chance to process what I just said. And in this way, we are both consciously aware of what we are doing. And this gives your mind a chance to be consciously aware, and this ability, I mean, being consciously aware, even through my video, will influence your brain a little bit to be consciously aware in other circumstances as well. And when I watch my videos, because these videos are also for my future self, I also feel a little bit mindful while watching myself, because the spaces, the stutters, the mistakes make me realize that I'm human and give my brain a chance to breathe, to slow down, you know, and actually think. Thinking is so much important. So that's why I make these videos, especially in this format. You will see that there's not a continuous topic on which I'm making a video, and I will continue to shift topics, because the point of my videos are a letter to my future self and space to let your mind breathe and let your thoughts present themselves for my viewers. Because when did we stop breathing and sighing in between sentences and words? How did we become so machine like? It's kind of sad. And I've seen that when a video includes the pauses and sighs, is mostly a skit or a story about. It's a film, okay? It's never the real life videos. And they are just a news format. I want my videos to have a real life format. And that's why I don't edit anything out. Then when I watch the videos, I feel so much grounded because this is what a real conversation looks like. Yeah, all right. Spoken a lot for one video, and I believe that I've put my point, I've made my point quite clearly and as elaborately as I could possibly have. And it feels nice to actually elaborate it like this because it's important to me to hold space for my emotions and my thoughts. This video is the way I'm holding space for my thoughts. It feels nice. All right. I hope you felt an ounce of the mindfulness that I'm feeling. And oh, yeah, there's another thing. I'm going to be experimenting with my videos, and the next video, I'm going to do a little something different. I hope that it is fun to watch as much as it will be fun to film for me. But mostly, I hope that I'm able to finish filming because I'm so busy these days. I really, really hope that I'm able to make that video. And if I'm able to, then you will know. And if I'm not able to, then we'll never talk about this again. All right. This is my dear soft toy. Her name is Estrel. Estrel? No, I think I named her Estre. Estre or Estrel because she is a star, and star in Spanish is Estrella. So I tried to kind of make a nickname out of that, Estre, Estrel. Anyways, she accompanied me through the whole video, and I love her. I know this is really random, like random stuff I'm talking about. Um, yeah, I should end this video. Bye. Take care.